I bought a house without telling my parents, then found out they'd promised it to my sister's whole family. The paper grocery bag slips from my fingers before I fully process what I'm seeing. The jar of marinara sauce shatters against my pristine hardwood floors, splashing red across the golden oak like blood at a crime scene. 4-3 heartbeats, I stand frozen in my own doorway, keys still dangling from my hand, staring at the impossible scene before me. My mother and sister are inside my house. My house that I'd shown them photos of only 4 days ago. My house, whose address I deliberately kept to myself. What are you doing here? My voice sounds distant, hollow, like it's coming from someone else entirely. Natalie whirls around, measuring tape stretched between her hands. She's been measuring my home office, her expression momentarily startled before settling into something irritatingly entitled. Rachel, you're home early. Mom straightens from where she's been rearranging my living room furniture, creating a configuration I absolutely despise. We thought you'd be at the marketing firm until 6. That doesn't answer my question. I step carefully over the growing puddle of marinara, my sneakers sticking slightly to the floor. How did you get in here? Mom waves dismissively, like I've asked about the weather. Oh, I had a key made yesterday when I stopped by to congratulate you on the purchase. The memory surfaces instantly, Mom asking to use the bathroom during her brief visit, her purse mysteriously left behind when she went down the hallway. At the time, I'd thought nothing of it. Now, the violation burns in my throat like acid. You took my keys and copied them? Without asking. The tremor in my voice surprises me. I've always been the accommodating daughter, the one who bends rather than breaks. Don't be so dramatic, sweetheart. Mom busies herself fluffing a throw pillow I'd arranged perfectly that morning. We're just seeing how to make this work for everyone. Make what work? The question forms but doesn't leave my mouth, because suddenly I understand. The realization crashes into me with the force of a physical blow. Fragments of childhood flash before me, Natalie's 12th birthday with the hired magician and backyard carnival, while my own celebration that same year had been a store-bought cake from Kroger in our cramped kitchen. Mom's dismissive, "It's just not in the budget for you," contrasted sharply with the lavish spending for my sister. The pattern had never stopped. When I'd announced I was house hunting last month, Mom hadn't congratulated me. She'd immediately called Natalie to discuss opportunities. This is my home, I say, each word carved from ice. Not yours. Not ours. Mine. I cross to Natalie and pluck the spare key from her fingers, where she's been fidgeting with it nervously. Her hand closes reflexively, then releases. You can't be serious about living here alone, Rachel. Natalie's forehead creases with practiced concern. This place has 4 bedrooms. The kids need space to grow. Your housing situation is not my problem. The steadiness in my own voice surprises me. After everything we've done for you? Mom's eyes widen dramatically, her hand pressed to her chest like she's having heart palpitations. Your sister's children need proper bedrooms. Family helps family, Rachel. You know that. The familiar weight of obligation presses down on my shoulders, a lifetime of expectations that I'll sacrifice for Natalie because that's what I've always done. But something has shifted inside me since walking into my violated sanctuary. The trembling in my hands stops as clarity washes through me like cold water. You have exactly 2 minutes to leave before I call the police. I point toward the front door, my arm steady as a rock. You wouldn't dare. Mom's voice sharpens like a blade. 1 minute, 50 seconds. They leave. Mom slams the door hard enough to rattle my new windows, and I slide the deadbolt into place with a satisfying click that echoes through my empty house. 20 minutes later, as I'm still scrubbing marinara from between the floorboards, my phone rings. Dad's name flashes on the screen. What the hell do you think you're doing? His voice booms the moment I answer. Your mother is in tears. You're tearing this family apart with your selfishness. I say nothing, scrubbing harder at a stubborn red stain that looks like it might be permanent. Natalie needs help, Rachel. That's what family does. You've always understood that before. Always understood. Always accommodated. Always sacrificed. Not anymore, I whisper, but he's still shouting, not hearing me, not listening. After I hang up, I stare at the family photo on my mantle. Mom, Dad, Natalie with her husband Brad and their 3 kids, and me, slightly off-center as usual, wearing the strained smile I've perfected over 31 years. For the first time, I see us clearly. See the pattern of sacrifice I've been conditioned to accept without question. I place the frame face down on the shelf. The next morning brings a revelation that stops my world completely. A Facebook notification pings while I'm sipping coffee, a rare moment of peace. Something about Natalie tagging me. I tap the icon, expecting another passive-aggressive family photo where I'm awkwardly positioned at the edge. What I find steals my breath. A post from 3 weeks ago, before I'd even signed my closing papers, shows Natalie's 3 children crammed into their shared bedroom. The caption reads, "Kids are finally getting separate rooms soon. So blessed. Family first always. House red heart." My coffee mug trembles in my hands as I scroll to the comment section. "Which room does Emma get?" asks one of Natalie's mom friends. Natalie's response makes my blood run cold, the blue one with the bay window overlooking the backyard. Jake and Caleb will share the master bedroom across the hall. Mom thinks the guest room should stay empty in case Grandma Dorothy visits from Tampa. The mug slips from my fingers, sending hot coffee splashing across my bare feet. I barely notice the burns spreading across my skin. 3 weeks ago. They were planning this 3 weeks ago, before I'd even gotten pre-approved for my mortgage. I bolt to the bathroom, my stomach heaving as the magnitude of their betrayal hits me like a freight train. This wasn't some impulsive idea after seeing my beautiful new house. This was calculated. Orchestrated. They had been mapping out how to colonize my home before I'd even found it. The family dinner invitation arrives via text the next evening, like a summons to court. "We need to discuss a reasonable solution," Dad writes. "Your mother's making pot roast and mashed potatoes. 7 o'clock sharp." I should refuse. Every instinct screams to stay away, but some withered, hopeful part of me wonders if maybe, just maybe, they've come to their senses. When I arrive at their split-level ranch in Maplewood, the dining room table is already set with Mom's good china, the stuff we only used for Easter and Christmas. Dad, Mom, and Natalie sit clustered on one side like a tribunal, an empty chair waiting for me on the other. The division couldn't be more obvious if they'd drawn a battle line down the middle of the table. "Rachel," Mom says, her smile tight enough to crack. "We're so glad you could join us for this important family discussion." Before I can respond, Dad slides a manila folder across the mahogany table. "We found the perfect solution to this whole misunderstanding." Inside are printouts of 6-bedroom houses scattered throughout suburban Cleveland, all within walking distance of Natalie's kids' elementary school. Each listing has been annotated with notes in Mom's careful handwriting: perfect playroom for the children, and gorgeous backyard for barbecues. "These look lovely," I say carefully, "for Natalie and Brad." Dad clears his throat like he's about to deliver a boardroom presentation. "For all of you. Together. One big, happy family under one roof." "We've already spoken with your mortgage broker," Mom adds, stirring her iced tea with mechanical precision. "Transferring your loan to a different property is surprisingly simple. The price difference would be manageable if everyone contributes their fair share." My mouth goes completely dry. "You contacted my mortgage broker? Without my permission?" "Just preliminary discussions," Mom waves away my concern like she's swatting at a mosquito. "Nothing binding, of course." "Your furniture won't all fit, obviously," Natalie chimes in, examining her manicured nails. "But we could have a garage sale for the extra pieces. We'll need space for the kids' bunk beds and Brad's home office setup." The front door opens with a bang, and Brad strolls in 20 minutes late as usual, still wearing his construction boots. He nods at me before turning to Dad like I'm invisible. "I've been thinking about the garage situation, Frank. The left bay would work better for my F-150 if Rachel doesn't mind parking her little Honda on the street." The casual way they're dividing up my property, my dream home that they've never contributed a single penny toward, leaves me speechless. My hands curl into fists beneath the linen tablecloth. "Rachel," Dad says, his voice dropping into that serious tone he used when I was 12 and had disappointed him, "refusing to help your sister would show that you don't really care about being part of this family." Mom reaches across the table, not quite touching my clenched hand. "Think about your relationship with Emma, Jake, and Caleb. Children remember who was there for them when it mattered most." "Everyone in Maplewood knows that family comes first," Natalie adds, her eyes narrowing like a hawk spotting prey. What would people think if they knew you had all that space while your sister's children are sharing one tiny bedroom? 3 days after I walked out of that dinner from hell, the notifications begin pinging my phone like tiny bombs, each one jolting me from whatever momentary peace I've managed to find. I make the devastating mistake of looking at Natalie's latest Facebook masterpiece, her 3 children squeezed onto a pull-out sofa in their living room, faces arranged in exaggerated pouts that would make any Hollywood director proud. The caption reads, "When family abandonment means your babies don't have proper bedrooms, broken heart family first. Unless you're selfish, I guess. Prayers needed. Folded hands." My stomach churns as I scroll through the sympathetic comments pouring in like a flood. People I've known since Sunday school offer prayers and support. 3 different church ladies promised to have a talk with me about Christian family values. Mrs. Patterson, who taught my 4th grade class, comments, "Your mother showed me pictures of Rachel's enormous house. So much space for just one person. I raised 5 children in half that square footage." My finger hovers over the reply button, but what could I possibly say that wouldn't pour gasoline on this public execution? The doorbell rings at 8:30 that evening, sending my heart rate into overdrive. Through the peephole, I spot Pastor Williams from First Baptist on my front steps, leather Bible tucked under his arm like evidence in a trial. This isn't a coincidence. This is psychological warfare. "I'm sorry, Pastor Williams. I'm not available for visitors tonight," I call through the solid oak door. "Rachel Morrison, I've known you since you were in children's choir. Your family is deeply concerned about your spiritual well-being, and as your pastor, I feel obligated." "I didn't request spiritual counseling," I interrupt, surprising myself with the steel in my voice. "Please respect my privacy." His heavy sigh carries through the door like disappointment made audible. "I'll be praying for your heart to soften toward family, Rachel. Pride comes before the fall." After his footsteps fade down my walkway, I sit at my kitchen table and make a list of everything that's happened in the week since I threw my family out of my house. The scope of their retaliation is becoming clearer and more terrifying by the hour. Yesterday brought the first concrete evidence of how far they're willing to go to break me. My mortgage statement hadn't arrived, so I called the bank directly. "We've been mailing it to your updated address," the customer service representative explained cheerfully. "Your parents contacted us about forwarding all your financial documents to their home for safekeeping during your difficult period." The violation leaves me breathless, gasping like I've been punched in the solar plexus. They nearly succeeded. If I hadn't been vigilant about tracking my payments, what else might they have intercepted? What other pieces of my carefully constructed adult life are they quietly dismantling? This morning delivered a new horror, an email from my homeowners association. My parents had contacted them with concerns about potential commercial activity at my address, a complete fabrication designed to create problems where none existed. Now I have to provide formal documentation proving I occasionally work from home but don't run a business. Sleep has become almost impossible. I lie awake cataloging potential vulnerabilities, jumping at every creak and rustle outside my windows. I start small but strategic, changing passwords on every account, setting up mail forwarding directly to my workplace, installing security cameras at every entrance to my property. The methodical process of protecting myself steadies my shaking hands and gives me something concrete to focus on. When the security company finishes installing my fortress-grade system, I feel a strange blend of sadness and relief. My house, the place that was supposed to represent freedom and independence, now resembles a bunker. But it's my bunker. The next morning brings a small miracle disguised as homemade bread. I find it on my desk at work, wrapped in brown paper with a note tucked beneath the twine. "Sorry I gossiped about your new place to your mom. Not everyone thinks you're wrong. Some of us wish we'd been brave enough to set boundaries years ago. Carol from HR." I hadn't realized how isolated I'd been feeling until that simple gesture of support brings tears streaming down my face. The moment of peace shatters that evening when I pull into my driveway to find Natalie's silver SUV parked brazenly in front of my house. Through my living room window, I can see shadows moving inside, multiple figures rearranging my furniture like they own the place. This time, I don't hesitate. I call 911 from my car, watching as neighbors peek from behind curtains at the unfolding drama on previously quiet Elm Street. By the time Officer Rodriguez arrives, my family has noticed me sitting in my driveway like a refugee from my own home. They spill onto the front porch in a display of righteous indignation, Mom's face contorted with hurt, Dad's reddened with fury, Natalie clutching her designer purse to her chest like armor. She's throwing her own flesh and blood out onto the street. Natalie cries dramatically as the officer approaches. We were just visiting family. With what key? I ask calmly, showing Officer Rodriguez my security camera footage on my phone. I didn't give any of them permission to enter my home. Mom steps forward, eyes darting nervously toward our gathering audience of neighbors. How could you call the police on your own blood, Rachel? What will the whole neighborhood think? Something fundamental shifts inside me. The question that has controlled my entire life, what will people think, suddenly seems absurdly, laughably irrelevant. I don't care what they think, I say, my voice steady as bedrock. I care what I think. And I think this harassment ends today. The officer escorts them from my property with an official warning about trespassing. As they drive away in a convoy of wounded pride, I realize something profound. I've spent 31 years afraid of disappointing my family, measuring my worth entirely by their approval. But I've never once considered how consistently they've disappointed me. The next day, David Chen, a friend from college who now practices family law, helps me draft a formal cease and desist letter over lunch at our old campus hangout. They're counting on your guilt, Rachel, he tells me as we review the legal language. They've weaponized it your whole life. Time to disarm them. When Natalie shows up at my marketing firm the following week, her eyes red and swollen from what I'm sure was carefully choreographed crying, my coworkers form an unexpected protective barrier around me. Carol intercepts her at the reception desk. 2 other colleagues happen to join me for lunch when Natalie tries to ambush me in the parking lot. The contrast is stark and telling. These people who owe me absolutely nothing respect my boundaries without question, while my family, who should protect me, tramples every line I draw. With each passing day, I find my voice growing stronger. No becomes easier to say. This doesn't work for me rolls off my tongue without apology. The words I've made my decision no longer feel like a betrayal of family loyalty. At home, I change all the locks again, upgrade my security system with doorbell cameras that send alerts directly to my phone. I gather financial records, text messages, social media screenshots, a paper trail documenting years of exploitation and manipulation. The folder grows thick with evidence I hope never to need but feel infinitely safer having. Sunday afternoon, I spread everything across my dining room table like a detective solving a cold case. Every trespass, every manipulation, every lie documented with military precision. This looks comprehensive, David says, adjusting his reading glasses as he reviews my evidence during our weekend meeting. The cease and desist should be ready by tomorrow. Will you be okay delivering it personally? I need to do this myself. Monday morning, I place the certified letter directly into Mom's trembling hands. She doesn't open it immediately, just stares at me with those wounded eyes, the same look she gave me when I was 7 and accidentally broke her favorite vase. You'll regret this decision, Rachel, she whispers, but takes the envelope. 3 blessed days pass in silence. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. I sleep through the night for the first time in weeks. Thursday brings the inevitable escalation. I'm reviewing campaign proposals at my desk when Carol appears at my cubicle, eyes wide with alarm. Your parents are in the lobby, she whispers urgently. They told security that your sister was in a terrible car accident and they need you immediately. Cold dread washes through me until I spot a text from Natalie complaining about Emma's soccer practice, time-stamped 3 minutes ago. I find my parents arguing with our receptionist, Mom dabbing at suspiciously dry eyes with a tissue while Dad demands I be brought out, right this instant. Family emergency, he barks at the young man behind the desk. Her sister's been badly hurt. I just texted with Natalie, I say, stepping into view. She's perfectly fine. Rachel. Mom drops the tissue theatrically. Thank goodness you're here. We've been so worried about your mental state. My family is lying about a medical emergency to disrupt my workplace, I announce loud enough for the entire reception area to hear. I apologize for this disturbance. Security escorts them out while I return to my desk, ignoring the stares and whispered conversations following in my wake. The job offer letter arrives in my email on Friday afternoon like an answer to prayers I didn't know I was praying. Phoenix Branch Manager glows on my laptop screen like a golden ticket to a different life. For the first time in weeks, I smile without reservation. A year later, The Arizona sun streams through windows that have no curtains because I haven't decided what style I want yet, and there's no one here to decide for me. My furniture sits exactly where I placed it, not where someone else thought it should go. The wall beside my desk blooms with photographs, me hiking Camelback Mountain, shaking hands with our regional director after my promotion, standing proudly in front of this house on closing day. Not a single picture shows my family of origin. My phone rests peacefully on the granite counter, its screen occasionally lighting up with notifications that no longer send my heart racing. Unknown numbers go straight to voicemail, and several familiar ones too. Outside my kitchen window, my garden catches the morning light. Rows of cilantro, jalapenos, and tomatoes, the Mexican-inspired garden mom always claimed would be too spicy for civilized palates, thrive in neat raised beds. Bright yellow sunflowers tower along the back fence, their faces following the desert sun. The doorbell chimes at noon on my 32nd birthday. Friends file in carrying gift bags and covered dishes, their faces bright with genuine happiness to see me flourish. Happy birthday, Rachel, calls Lindsay, my colleague turned close friend, setting down a bakery box. Key lime pie, as requested. Not chocolate cake? Asks James, another friend who drove down from Flagstaff to celebrate. I've always preferred pie, I answer, the simple truth filling me with unexpected joy. Especially key lime. For 3 decades, I dutifully blew out candles on German chocolate cake because Natalie loved it. Mom always said making 2 desserts was wasteful when we could just share. Lindsay arranges birthday candles on the pie while I pour wine into glasses I chose because I loved them, not because they matched someone else's vision of sophistication. What should we toast to? Asks Maria, my neighbor who brought me homemade salsa when I moved in. To building homes, not just houses, I say, raising my glass toward the desert sunset painting my walls gold. And to the family we choose for ourselves. On my key hook by the front door hangs exactly 1 key mine. No spare hidden for emergencies, no copy held hostage by anyone else. Later, after everyone leaves and the house settles into comfortable quiet, I find myself thinking about Connor, the architect I've been seeing for 2 months. He respects my boundaries with a reverence that once would have felt foreign but now feels like coming home. My phone buzzes with a text, still on for hiking Sedona tomorrow? Can't wait to see those red rocks through your eyes. I smile as I type back, absolutely. It's going to be perfect. Some cousins text occasionally now. My uncle called last month to check in. These tentative connections with extended family happen entirely on my terms, with crystal clear boundaries they've learned to respect. As I settle into my king-size bed in my peaceful house, I sometimes wonder if complete separation was necessary or if someday I might attempt limited contact with my parents and Natalie. But that's a question for another day, another year, maybe another lifetime. Tonight, I'm content with the life I've built, one where every choice, from the garden vegetables to the friends around my table, reflects exactly who I am when no one else is trying to reshape me. For the first time in my life, I am completely, authentically, unapologetically myself. And it feels like coming home.